Millrose Games are officially over, and I have to admit that the action on the track really didn't disappoint if you were actually watching the meet. That said, I'm going to give my honest reactions to all of it. This video is not going to have a whole lot of editing. I'm just going to tell you what I'm actually thinking, because I watched the races, all of them, and this is what I saw. It would be disingenuous if I didn't actually start off with the world records that went down. And in my opinion, that saved the meet in the grand scheme of pro track and field. Because unfortunately, we live in a track and field world where unless Yared Nuguse goes out there and breaks the mile world record, or for that matter, Grant Fisher does the exact same thing in the 3K, well, that's what people come to see. I've been talking about track and field for quite a while, and following it for even longer. And I've quickly found out that we are living in a track and field world where the only thing that people really care about seems to be world records falling. And when we talk about indoor track and field, which apparently nobody really wants to run, and I'll get into that in a moment, the records are really all we have to go off of. In the 600, people were watching for two reasons. They wanted to know if Quincy Wilson was going to break the high school national record indoors in the 600 at Millrose, and to some degree they also wanted to watch Brandon Miller, who told people before the race started that he wanted to break the world record indoors in the 600. Well, neither of those things actually happened, but Will Sumner did win the race and break a Millrose Games record for the 600. I guess people kind of care about that. I say it that way for a reason, because you tell me, do people actually care about that? When we put all the emphasis on records, it makes it really hard to sell a product when that is very unlikely that you're going to ask athletes to go out there and run faster than anyone had ever run. We even got a high school national record indoors in the 60 meter. Shout out to Lisa Ray. And I've already shared my thoughts on that, so there's no need to go back on it now. But as for the rest of the meet, and I'm going to shift away from the distance events for a moment, not to ignore what the women did, but just to deal with the sprints and the hurdles. In the hurdles, we got a good field for the women. We got Masai Russell, Devin Charlton, and you even had the world leader this year in Denisha Cartwright in that field. We also see this very interesting thing because it's one thing for Quincy Wilson to be running the 600 with the pros, but we also put high school athletes in some of these other fields, and for that matter, college athletes into some of these fields. And if you check the starting list, look at the season best, or for that matter, the PRs, some of them really don't belong in these fields. And again, nothing against the athletes. I'm saying Millrose is supposed to be a professional event, and in the 60-meter dash for the men, Trayvon Bromell was clearly the headliner. He was supposed to win when everybody dropped out, because pro track and field is set up in such a way where we really don't know who's going to show up to the meets anymore. Lamont Martho Jacobs was scheduled to run. Noah Lyles already told us he wasn't going to run Millrose. It was up in the air, and then he decided he wasn't going to do it. So those are two heavy hitters. And Trayvon is on a comeback trail at this point in his career, so it makes sense why he's taking indoor seriously. We will know when Trayvon Bromell is back, because we're going to see Trayvon Bromell times. And I think he's made that clear in interviews that he's still kind of shaking off the rust. So I fully expect to see him run way faster times, either later indoors or specifically outdoors this year. But when you look at the rest of the field, no shade against the field. I'm saying, like, where are all the pros who want to run? Because apparently nobody wants to run. You move on from that point because Lamont Martho Jacobs did run the indoor Grand Prix in Boston and was scheduled to run and then was on the starting list. And you got to understand, they even put like cards that hype up these meets where you'll see like the starting list. Jarnell Hughes was scheduled to run in both. He was supposed to run in Boston. He was supposed to run in Millrose. From what I understand, he did not show up on the starting line for either. I mean, I'd have to fact check on Boston, but I know he was supposed to run in Millrose, at least on promos that I saw at one point. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, Just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. You move to the women's 60. I know who some of the people in the field are, but I'm pretty sure most of you don't. Jacious Sears was tearing it up in college last year running for Tennessee. She even ran 10.7 seconds. I was there live, sitting on the finish line at the time during the memorial when she did it. And nobody else was running fast, either in that heat or any of the other heats for the men or the women on that day. So she really blew everyone away in that race. All that being said, she's still a relative unknown on the world stage. And I say relative, I mean like almost absolutely. Because she didn't get to run at the Olympic trials, which is where people would have noticed her. Definitely didn't make the Olympic team as a result. And that was all due to injury. So now she's running indoors, which people want to pay attention to, but the community made it clear to me they would care more if like the athletes actually showed up to run. But I mean like the top athletes, the top sprinters don't run indoors for the most part. Like we don't even really get a sighting for most of them. So shout out to the distance community on the men's and the women's sides, because we got to see some of the top distance runners, people who have Olympic gold medals and so on, show up to Millrose. And to some degree, people believe that Millrose is more of a distance-focused meet to begin with. And all right, fine, then maybe that's true. But then you go over to the 60 hurdles, where shout out to Dylan Beard, he wins the 60 hurdles. Again, he's a Walmart worker last year who was running unattached. This year, he's now sponsored by Walmart, ironically, because I guess it makes sense why Walmart wanted to put their name on his brand, but why would there not another, company that is representing him, like a Nike or Adidas? I couldn't tell you, other than the fact that he didn't make Team USA by the time the Olympics came around. Because that's what you're supposed to do to really get on the map in track and field. That's the current ecosystem that we're in. Millrose gave us about 2 hours of television coverage for a meet that is a whole lot longer than the 2 hours that they put on camera and send over to Peacock. And as far as I'm concerned, for what they told us, the meet actually delivered on that. My biggest concern is that in pro track and field, in a world where people want more money, more media coverage, they want more, value to be promoted to the sport, Millrose is one of the biggest and most historic stages that we have to promote the sport. Fans want to watch it. Trust me on this. People want to watch it. But as of right now, especially indoors, but even outdoors to a lesser degree, there is not one professional event on the calendar where as a fan, you can expect to see a lot of top talent across the board show up to compete. I'm not saying that the Diamond League doesn't have top athletes. And Grand Slam is now bringing some top athletes. But that's the first time that you can bank on. I'm about to see names: Kenny Bednarik, Fred Curley, Oblique Seville, Jarnell Hughes. I'm supposed to see all of them on the starting line, quote unquote, no matter what, multiple times in the year. We've never been able to bank on that. And the biggest concern that I have for the sport is the idea that they tell us certain people are going to run and then they don't. I get it. People get injured. I get it. Things happen. But the nature of the sport, when it's so individualized like this, and it's all about medals, and it's all about accomplishments, it's all about accolades, specifically world championships and Olympics, world to a lesser degree once again. It's almost like the rest of this doesn't matter. They're just time trials. So unless we get a world record, which Millrose is apparently good for. We got one last year with Devin Charlton in the 60 hurdles. We got 2 this year in the distance events. Like, that's basically all we're running for. It's why we have athletes who are coming to the meets. Lisa Ray said it before her girls 60 as a high school runner. She wanted to break that record, and then she went out and pulled it off. Quincy Wilson clearly came with a record on his mind. Brandon Miller told us he wanted to break a record, even though it didn't actually happen. It's almost like running against the clock is the only thing that we're doing in these races. But track and field is a competitive sport where you actually have to get to the line ahead of people. And if we lose that, you lose a lot. And a lot of what you're going to lose is the ability to hold on to the attention of the fans. Because we shouldn't be waiting for a race to go, looking at the clock at the end saying, was it a record or not? We should be able to get excited because of the battle going back and forth. And I know some fans actually are able to experience that. It's just not everybody, specifically with the focus of how we do the sport. So hey, Millrose Games is in the books. I enjoyed it for what it was. Shout out to the athletes because they definitely showed out, but I still can't help the feeling that I wanted a whole lot more, and I know I can't be alone in that. In the sport of track and field, race day is honestly the easy part, because all of the real work gets put in when nobody is watching. When you wear every day is training day gear, you can let the whole world know that your success in competition is not an accident. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below, and it always comes with free shipping. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.